Hello, welcome to Chick Chat and Chill. I'm Antoinette, one of your co-hosts. I'm the owner of Pixel This, and I help brands. So is your brand blending into the background and it just doesn't have a voice? That's where I can come in and help it, give it a personality, and just help it shine in the way that you want it to be shown, that it is an expression of you and what you stand for. So today's topic is takers. So give me your business and I'll take your money. But first, I'm going to introduce Laura, my co-host.
I should tell people that our introduction, that was designed by Pixel. So we should tell people that because it's so cute. I think it's adorable. But I am Laura Fickett, your co-host. I own Fickett Financial Education and Business Coaching, and I love to help people make more money. I tell you every single week I do free consultations. Don't hesitate to reach out to me. Go online. You can fill out a little form. It emails me, and we'll set up a free consultation. Doesn't matter where you are in the country. We Zoom. We can chat over the phone, but I can talk about your situation, the things that are financially stressing you right now, whether you're an individual or a business owner, and level up your education so that you can live a better life. Who doesn't want more money in their life? It's crazy town.
Yeah.
I know who wants more money. Takers want more money. That's what we're going to talk. We're not going to specifically talk about the fact that they want more money, but we're going to talk about takers and givers. And I think this is a huge topic because I just had a conversation not too long ago with a friend of mine that they were getting into relationships with, takers. I'm like, you're always dating a taker. If you're always dating a taker, then it's always going to end up the same way. You need to date a giver. And so what makes somebody a giver or a taker? I mean, I think it sounds simple, but really look deep into yourself. Let's reflect for a second. Do you think you're a giver or a taker? Be honest, right? And some people are like, oh, we're all givers. No, you're not. Some of you watching right now are takers. Oh, we just lost them.
Yeah.
Oh, well, only givers on the podcast. But here's,
back.
I know, come back, takers. No, but here's the thing is that I've been really thinking about it a lot this year, and I don't know why, because God has put this on my heart and put this on my mind. But there are a lot of people that are takers. They'll take business that you refer to them. They'll take, if you want to buy them a drink, they'll take, and they never reciprocate. And I know we're supposed to love everyone, but they're supposed to love us too.
Yeah.
And so those people, I think I told Antoinette, I have to love from afar, really far away. Please, God, put them as far away as possible.
And I think some people too, especially in a couples dynamics, you're very rarely going to get two takers or two givers. Usually one is if you're a huge giver, you're almost going to attract a taker if you're over and above.
Mm-hmm.
There's one thing giving, everybody wants to give to the people they care about, but you also have to be cognizant of how to receive. And there's a lot of people that give and they can't receive. They're like, oh, no. So also be aware where you might be creating an unwanted dynamic as well.
Yeah, that was me, actually. I like to give to my kids, give to the people, give. And then it would build up that nobody was giving to me and I was getting depleted. And then I had nobody to blame but myself because I wasn't accepting, I wasn't receiving or I wasn't asking. And so, it's not that people were actually taking from me. They were accepting the gifts that I was giving, we're not talking about monetary gifts. We're talking about in general, giving people help, giving people encouragement, giving people support, just filling somebody else's cup.
Yeah.
And what I did was I don't know if somebody told me this or if I read this, or it was probably my son Christian because he's young, but he's so intuitive. But someone told me that you're God's child too. And so God wants all of his children to be happy and all of his children to be prosperous. And so it's not selfish to do things for you. You need to help everybody, but help yourself as well in the process because God wants all of his children, not just the ones you choose. He wants you too. You're his child.
Yeah.
And that was impactful for me because then I'm like, okay, well, when I do things for me, it's not selfish. Or when other people do things for me, they just want to help me prosper in his plan as well. So that was kind of helpful.
Yeah.
But I do think my husband and I think we're both givers. I think he's been trained. my expectations is that my husband gives. But I think you can have, people that like are, both trying to give to each other. I always thought the perfect relationship is where I give everything to my husband and to make him happy, and he gives everything to me to make me happy, and then we're both happy.
Yeah.
So I think that is an ideal situation, and I'm fortunate that it's not always easy, and we work on it all the time, but that's the relationship that we try and foster.
Yeah. The one saying that I always hear that I always like makes the hairs on my neck stand up, like kind of like that's not right. But the whole thing that it goes, do unto others as you'd have others do unto you. Like, I don't agree with that, and I'll explain why. So first of all, if you're giving, like if I go to someone's house, for example, and they feel so comfortable in my house that they put their feet on the table because for them that would be,
acceptable in their house.
Acceptable in their house. They do it all the time. It would be a show of, oh, look how comfortable you are in my house, and I'm glad as the host that you feel that comfortable. But you got to be cognizant of what these people want in their house. So to me, the better thing isn't do unto others as you'd have them do unto you, is do unto others as they do unto themselves. You know what I mean? So it's basically to your standard, or if theirs is higher than to theirs. And I think that's where a lot of people, when we just briefly talked about this, when we were discussing what topic ideas. And I said, there are those people that give, but they don't give what the other person wants. They give what they want to give, whether the person wants it or not. And then to them, they're like, oh, I'm so giving. And it's like, no.
I don't eat fruitcake. Stop giving it.
Yeah. But it is. Or there's people that give things in a way that you feel like they're sabotaging you. Like if I just tell you like, oh, I'm going on this, this new cleanse and I'm just going to do water and, eggs and whatever. And you just baked a chocolate cake, to come over. And, in your mind, you think you're being giving, but you're really trying to take away a goal that I have for myself. That's not a giving moment. That's actually a taking moment. And I think there's a lot of people that when you're giving, just be cognizant that this is actually, do they want this?
Yeah.
Or the regifters, like, oh, it's just because you don't want it anymore. It doesn't mean that they want it.
I would much prefer people overgive things that I don't want than never give it all.
Yeah.
Like those, the taker will they'll take everything and then they never even think about you. I know, like I read the Bible, and I know Jesus wants you, if somebody, you're supposed to give them the shirt off your back and all that other stuff. And I understand that. But I also think that at some point, after I've given enough to people, when they don't give back, I think I need to give them to Jesus.
Yeah.
Because, I have really this year, it's been weighing on me that how much of my life, how much of my time, how much of my energy and effort have I given to people freely, not just my clients. Of course, that's a relationship, where we are coming under contract for me to help them, but people that I help freely, and they never even give my business or my family or me a second thought. And so I've really it's been something that I've been thinking about. It's difficult, to continue to give and to continue to be a person that's giving when the society seems to be more, and if you're looking at the scales, it seems to be more takers than givers lately.
Yeah. And one thing that I struggle with, and it was funny, I never realized I struggled with this, and I'm a Virgo, and every time I read anything Virgo, it's like, that's not me. And then I came across this one video, and it was like dead on. It was like, oh my God, it's like they were spying on me or something. And in this, they said that you have a very difficult time asking for help. Like you could be under the greatest stress in the world, but you keep it to yourself and keep it hidden, and you have a difficult time. So it was hard for me to actually, I still struggle with like asking people when I need help. I'm to the point where if people volunteer, I'm like, oh thank God. Like, thank you so much. But it is something that, sometimes it is hard for people to say, look, I'm really struggling here and I need some time, or I need some help, or, something.
Yeah, I think maybe that's what the transition I'm going through just this morning. This is, I probably should share some of these things. But so I am not a natural blonde. Sorry, viewers. I'm all Italian and I'm not a natural blonde. So I'm going to be having my hair done again in a couple weeks. But I'm thinking, like, my kids are like, maybe you should go back to your darker hair. Like, I had auburn hair. And I'm like, I don't know. Like, blonde makes me feel like more energy, and darker hair sometimes drowns me out. I don't know. Maybe Pixel This can do my color palette. But I said to my husband, I said, which do you prefer, like my blonde or with me darker hair? He says, I like it. I like them both. I like you both ways. And I'm like, no, I didn't ask a question because I didn't want an answer. Like, which do you prefer, this or that? And he was like, whatever one you want, whichever one makes you happy. Just don't make it green or something. And I said, I think for the next phase of my life, I literally want you to start making every decision, like right down to my hair color. Just make every single decision for me. And I walked away and I thought, wouldn't that be fantastic?
So then you'd be like, this guy's so controlling.
No, trust me. In our relationship, we're at that point where he could make every decision. I just kick back and relax. The rest of my days, I'll just take. Give me suggestions. Man, if he wants to decide what to eat every day, I'm there.
But that so makes, oh my God, I like totally reminded me of this. So this guy I know he's always complaining about that there's people that they'll come to him for advice. So they'll ask him for what do you think about this? What do you think about that? And he gives advice. And then he goes, and then they just do what they want. And I'm like, well, it's still their life. So, I mean,
if you're going to ask, you need to follow it to a T. You should be taking notes.
So I think that's a good point too, that if you're giving something freely, understand that it's their gift or whatever. So sometimes I know people will give, and that's just advice, but it could be something as simple as, oh, here's, whatever, a tangible item, and then you're upset they're wearing it in mud or rain, or they did something that would destroy it. When it's theirs and you give it to them, it is theirs to do as they please, which I think a lot of people forget that.
It is difficult if you give them something and then they sell it and then they keep the money for themselves, and that was their intention the whole entire time. Not speaking from experience, of course, but that's when you think you might have a taker on your hands.
Yeah.
Someone's, I'll take that off your hands. Next, it's up on Facebook Marketplace, and they're making money off of your leftovers. But I guess you're right. If I didn't want it in my home and I gave it away, then they can do whatever they want with it, including selling.
Well, what do you think about, I know a couple of people like this, that they're wealthy and they're more than happy to pay for whatever, but they want someone else to do all the work. Like, you drive, I'll buy. You do this, I'll do that. Like, so it's almost like a lack of effort into doing, like they want someone else to do all the legwork.
They'll contribute money,
yeah,
so they don't have to do anything anymore.
Exactly. Do you know those type? Like, what do you think of that?
I might be that type.
It worked. No, okay.
Just for driving. I hate driving.
No, but I know a lot of people that, money is no object to them. They have, more than they want, but then they use it as a way to get favors done for them. Like, they don't feel like picking up dinner for themselves. So they'll just throw on Facebook like, hey, whoever's, you know what I mean? They're just looking to fund somebody to be like an errand boy or an errand, you know what I mean? And
who are these people? Let me get my pen.
No, and I've
I'll pick it up if you're buying. I'll fly. It's fine.
No, but I've known people, and I think part of the thing too is they'll do it, I think, in an effort to gain friends. I
think so many listeners are like, where can we find this friend with benefits like this, where they will pay for everything, and we will just, I
think that's a different friend with benefits means a different thing.
No. Listen, let's set something straight. Probably average viewer is like 30s to 50s, and I've had this conversation with my best friend Mandy before. When you get older, friends with benefits means something different. Okay, so we were having a conversation, and this would, you're single. So say you need your deck refinished. maybe you want to get a friend that's a carpenter, right? Like, and then you date them for a little while. But then maybe you need a mechanic. So then maybe you date a mechanic. So now, like, friends with benefits are, do you have useful skills that I need? When you're in your 20s, okay, friends with benefits means totally different things. But the benefits women want in their 40s and 50s, do stuff around the house. Like, that's, we want friends that are gardeners, mechanics, like plumbers,
No, it's
carpenters.
I think guys are clearer with that. Like, can you cook? Can you
Guys want people that can cook.
like
The other benefits,
the way
whatever.
through my heart is, to my heart is through my stomach, says like every man, you know. But that's so true.
Totally off on a tangent, but I suppose that would be taking.
That's still giving and taking.
I'll cook if they're gonna come build a deck. Like, come on now. I'll
Yeah.
go out and I'll go get the beer, whatever.
Yeah. I was thinking of starting almost like this thing through church where, like I have a talent that I'm willing to donate to help somebody, but I need something.
The barter club?
Yeah. So it kind of like a whole thing, like I'll donate design services, but I need, a
Somebody to come
a
clean
deck
my
built.
house or
Exactly.
something. Yeah.
And then maybe the guy who builds decks, he doesn't need design services, and then it's just one hand washes the other and everyone's happy. But
Except for the IRS, because they have strong rules about bartering. We're not going to get into that.
No, but I think that's one. Like I
But
mentioned,
see, that's a giving mentality,
Yeah.
right? You want to give your talent, and then other people give their talent, and you share.
Yeah.
The problem is say you put together a group like that, and you're willing to give your talent, but then the other person doesn't have time.
Yeah.
Like that's what we're talking about, takers. Like there's certain people that whether you're giving them money or you're giving them time or you're giving them advice or you're giving them, your talents, they just don't give back.
yeah,
Like, and I just think, I don't know why that society has just gotten to the point where people aren't giving back. And I always think, oh, it's because people are far away from God and Jesus' teachings and things like that. But there are just so many takers. I don't think you can enter a room of 40 people and half of them are probably takers and half are givers.
yeah. The one thing that I do want to kind of mention, because I've heard this before, where somebody is complaining to me about another person. They're like, I give them this and I give them this and they never give back. But I know that person and they're not a taker. They just can't give back to that person. Like that person has basically everything that, like let's say it's a networking situation. So in my business, I may be able to give a lot of leads to a specific company. And then that company may not be able to return the favor because they're dealing with a whole different clientele, but they in turn can give leads to another company very easily. So the whole point is I don't mind giving a lot to other people that I know are givers, but if I see somebody that, I'm giving to them and someone else is giving to them and someone else is giving to them and they're just like on their little high horse, like, look, I'm
Just
a princess.
gonna kick back and relax. Everybody's giving to me.
Yeah, and they just literally bounce around from when they dry up, this watering hole, then they'll just move on to someone else. And I see that a lot.
I think about like what does God want me to do, right? Okay, so God wants me to give and he gives me talents and God will provide for me. So whether I give to Susie and she never gives back, God will give me 3 times over for giving to Susie. But I do think that after a while, if you continue to give to people that don't give back, like then you're just enabling them to be a taker and you're enabling them to you take advantage of you to some extent. And so you really have to shut that down because from what I've read in the Bible and, people can comment and maybe they have a different view is that you should give to the people that need, right? Like, so the widows and the children and the disabled and stuff like that. But the people that can work for themselves, you shouldn't constantly give. Like I know for my children, and this is an epidemic where you have children in their 30s and 40s and 50s still taking from the parents, and the parents just can't seem to stop giving. At some point, like you have to stop giving to your children so that they learn to give and stop taking.
Well, I think you bring up a good point too, because I remember when I was little, and if it was like Christmas time or someone's birthday, Obviously, if you're 5, I don't have a bankroll where, it's my mom's birthday. I can't buy her a new car or something, but I would go out of my way to make her something or do something for her. And I'm not saying it's every parent, but I don't see that in today's society. I mean, when my brothers and sisters would show up for Christmas, the kids would open their gifts and they'd be like, they wouldn't do anything for me. And I'm not saying like I expect, but I would go to like my ex's family and his nephew would draw me a picture or something, he made a little snow globe with I'm not saying it doesn't have to be anything wonderful, but it just shows that he was giving something and showing appreciation, knowing he's going to get something in return. And I think that is lacking in society. I think so many parents they're not instilling that in their kids where they're so busy like, oh, I want to treat my daughter like a princess because, and I see this on a lot of dating things. My daughter's a princess because I want to show her how how she should be treated like a man. It's not for you to show your daughter. Your daughter should see how you treat the woman in your life.
Yeah, right.
And
exactly.
that's
Role
how she's
model.
going to gauge it. But if you all of a sudden you're doing a disservice to your child because it's creating this weird dynamic between you, and then it's going to hinder her or him, if you're doing it to your son, later on in life into other relationships because you're basically rearing a taker is basically what you're doing.
You are. I think it's important to like see, do people give to charities? Do they give their time? Do they give their money? Do they teach, like you said, teach their kids to give? My little guy, my youngest, my 11-year-old, like if he doesn't have a lot of money, I might take him to like the dollar store for Christmas and give him like $5. And he picks, I think for last Christmas, I think he bought his older brother a fidget spinner, which was like $1. And he bought I think he bought my older daughter this suction cup thing that goes on the mirror and holds like her makeup brushes or something, like dollar stuff, right? But he was so happy to like pick it out, wrap it up, and give. And I think that's probably where it starts. Obviously it's where it starts when they're younger.
Yeah.
Like teach them to be givers. Teach them that whole it's better to give than receive. And if you're an adult now and you've become jaded by society and you used to give as a kid, like, I don't know, maybe start giving again. Like maybe if you're sitting here and you're like, I think maybe I'm a taker. Maybe you don't realize it. I don't know. Maybe start giving again. Maybe buy $5 gift cards and give them out to people, or, start drawing pictures and put them in a handmade card. Or
I actually have like this interesting story. So I was dating this one guy and his sister was the only girl of the family. There were all these guys. So anytime his brother was gay, so he never brought girls by. But anytime this guy would date somebody, the sister would hate them because she liked being the only girl and she'd cause all these problems. So anyway, we had a couple family occasions and, I had no problems with her, but she had problems with me for whatever reason, So then he was saying to me, like, you hate her and this. I go, I don't hate her. Like, I get that she doesn't like me. That's her bag, not mine. Like, I whatever. So he's like, no, you hate her and you this. And so what I did, I was like, okay, so I decided that I'm going to send her this big bouquet of flowers anonymously, not for me, just literally an anonymous gift. I just, got her address, wrote, and just something silly. Like she was going through some stuff with her kids. And I was just like, hope everything is going well with you and your family. Thanks for staying strong. We appreciate you, or something like that. It didn't know who it was, anything. And afterwards, if I felt good about doing that. If I was resentful, it would have hurt to give that. Like it would have pained me to give that. And that
God loves a cheerful giver.
Yeah, but that's my gauge. Like if you're resentful when you're giving something, it's not from a true giving spirit. And that's always a good check for me. Like, if with someone in my good grace, just give them something.
Are you ever resentful giving something?
No, it's, for me, I always know it before I actually go to give, and sometimes there's things I know in my head I should give, but I'm not at that place where it wouldn't cause resent. And then I'll wait till I could, deal with whatever is going on because maybe I'm spread a little too thin, that, someone's asking me for a favor and I know I should help, but I'm spread so thin that I had to say no, and
Well, you gave them a no.
and they just had to take that. Yeah. So take that, right? No, but it's true. It's one of those that I think you gotta, make sure it's coming from the right place. And
I think it takes practice too, right? Because like any good skill takes practice. And so I think the more you practice giving, the better you're going to be at. The more you practice taking, the better you're going to be at it. So like, I think you just have to practice. And people always think giving needs to be monetary, or it needs to be, and they're like, well, I don't have enough money to give right now. No, you can give encouragement. You can give kind words. You can give support. You can give a phone call, to an elderly neighbor that doesn't have any friends. You can pick a wildflower and give it to someone.
Yeah.
If it's no trespassing, don't go. But I think be creative. Just practice giving.
Yeah.
And you'll get better at it.
And especially like if you're cognizant of the whole 5 languages of love, if somebody is physical touch and they're hurting, give them a hug. Right. If someone is, if their thing is more words of affirmation and they're hurting, give them a really sincere compliment, something that you enjoy about them that maybe you don't, people, a lot of times they'll give compliments like, oh, well, that's a pretty shirt. That's a pretty sweater. When you just sit there, like if I sit and I think about Laura and what I like about her, I've done it before where I've said, I like this about you. And it doesn't come from anything other than me willing to share something that she makes me happy in a way. So I share that. And it's not because I'm hoping to get something back or any other reason that, just to give it back to her.
Do you like your shirt today?
Jesus is king.
But it's true. You don't have to just give money.
Yeah.
I was that 5 languages of love. People say like, oh, what's your love language? I think it's all of them. I think maybe I'm greedy. I want it all. There are some that prioritize other, I don't need words of affirmation as much as I need, affection or acts of service. But it's true. Like practice giving a compliment or give a hug or give words of encouragement. It doesn't always have to be a gift card or a gift, or maybe, maybe there is something like I have jewelry that I'm not wearing anymore. And I know it would make my daughters happy to have it. So for my daughter's last birthday, she turned 21. I gave her diamond and ruby earrings that I haven't worn in forever. Like, okay, they're kind of expensive, but it brings her joy and it brings me no joy anymore.
Yeah.
So if there's things that don't bring you joy, but somebody has come to your house and like, I love that, I love that, I love that. And you're like, I actually don't love it anymore. Give that to them. Like, just practice giving. I think if everybody would give to each other, I mean, what a wonderful world we would live in rather than people always taking and taking and taking.
And I've seen just real quickly, because I know we're going to have to wrap things up.
Running out of time. I think they should give us more time. You guys wouldn't pay attention. You're going to zone out. You probably already zoned out.
But I saw this thing where it was like, I don't know if it was like some kind of school project or whatever, but it was like giving to somebody that you don't know, that you just, sometimes it was like a child who there was like this older woman that would just scowl when he was walking to the bus stop. And he, as part of this project, he just wanted to give a Christmas gift. And he noticed like every time she was out there, she didn't have like, even in the winter, didn't have like, slippers that covered her feet and she was probably cold. So he just, bought her this thing and it changed the whole dynamic. And then now all of a sudden, they have this nice little relationship. But again, like, so you could do something so simple that could repair a relationship or start something with just a small gesture. And
things could be so impactful. I love that movie, like Pay It Forward and stuff.
Oh, that was a good one. Except when he died at the end. I was like,
it's always focusing on the negative. Always.
Well, I just watched it with my mom, which made me really because I'm like, this is such a feel good movie, and then at the end I'm like snotting all over myself. I'm like, what?
It's an image. It's an image we want to leave you with. I remember I went to a craft fair one time, and there was these two little kids, and they had been out in the sun all day with the mother, helping her, and then they were helping her pack up their car. And I didn't find things that I particularly liked, but I had two $5 bills in my pocket, and they were like 5 and 7 or younger kids. And I went up to them and I said, "Oh, I appreciate you helping your mom. That's a really nice thing to do." Like I gave them each a $5 bill, and they were like, "Oh my gosh, this is for us." And I'm like, "Yeah, because like you're out here helping your mom on a Saturday. That's so nice, and helping her pack up the car." I don't know where that went, but maybe that stuck out in those kids' minds. Like I helped my mom, something good came of it, you know, and then maybe they continued to help her.
Yeah.
And without any kind of reward. So you never know where your giving is going to impact and change somebody's life or change somebody's day or whatever. So I think if people are watching and they're takers, try to practice giving and see if you can turn your life around.
Yeah.
And you never know when Jesus is coming back. So
and it helps with
be
that
ready.
whole depression thing that we talked about in the previous episode about how giving actually helps serotonin and all this other stuff to lift your mood and change hormones. So
if you don't know what she's talking about, you're going to have to binge watch.
You're going to have to.
All right, we're going to close things out. So it's kind of hard to actually say our next topic because we just were trying to feel good here with the giving. But the next topic is like, should you speak up or shut up?
We're just going to come down on you for everything, right?
When you have people that are close to you and you see them going down a train wreck or things being derailed, like how do you know when to step in and give advice that may be unsolicited
or even with strangers
with strangers and how do you know when to just, be quiet? It's none of your business kind of stuff. So it's hard. It's hard to figure out when to speak up or shut up. So that's going to be our next topic. And hopefully you love spending time with us as we would love spending time with you if we knew who you were, I'm sure, especially if you're givers. But until then, I am Laura Fickett. I'm your co-host, and never stop learning.
And never stop laughing. See you next week.